I would like to promise and pledge to all of my voters and supporters and to all of the people of the United States that I will totally accept the results of this great and historic presidential election if I win.
All right, folks. Well, I think it goes without saying that it has been a good past couple of days for Donald Trump and not such a good past couple of days for Joe Biden. And by the way, folks, the polls are beginning to show that. But honestly, let's start this video by talking about Joe Biden, because as much as we may try to sell Donald Trump as a candidate, I truly believe that his best campaign strategy this time around is to basically just sit there and let Joe Biden and especially the country around Joe Biden implode upon itself. In many ways, that is the best argument at the moment for Donald Trump, because if the country is not going well under the current leadership, people naturally seek what? They seek a change. They seek the opposite of the current situation. And when you especially look at the social unrest that you've seen in America on these college campuses, it goes without saying that is not good news for Joe Biden. And I, in past videos, have explained the specific political reasons why the Palestine crowd is actually not helping Joe Biden at all. In fact, they very often are chanting against Joe Biden. They are literally saying genocide Joe out there on these campuses. But to simplify this argument for time's sake, I will just say that in general, social unrest is not good for an incumbent party and especially an incumbent president. Why is that? Well, simply put, Americans crave stability, they crave security. And so what does social unrest signal about the current president? Instability and insecurity. By the way, history plays that out. You look at the recent history of how social unrest has gone for the incumbent party. 1968, who currently holds the White House? Incumbent Democrat LBJ. Richard Nixon defeats the Democrat. Power changes in the White House. 1992, the LA riots, same thing. Even 2020, we know what happened there. It was used as a weapon against Donald Trump. Well, now what is the weapon against? It's against Joe Biden. And by the way, perhaps the worst aspect of the entire situation for Joe Biden is his complete and utter lack of leadership throughout the entire thing. I don't think this is something, frankly, that conservatives are pointing out enough, which is, where has Joe Biden been amidst all of these protests and the whole situation going on around America? Have you noticed this? Have you heard from Joe Biden recently? And don't get me wrong, I mean, the whole basement Joe thing is nothing new. So it's very easy to forget about Biden. It's easy to forget that he's there. But notice that for a second, okay? Over the past couple of weeks, everything you see at Columbia, everything you've seen at UCLA and Ole Miss and all these schools across the country, where has Biden been? Have you heard from him? Has he really said anything about it? The answer is, of course, no. Joe Biden has gone into complete hiding. I don't think it's a good look. And the only stuff we've really heard out of the president of the United States over these crazy past couple of days was a very weird and awkward interview with Howard Stern, where Howard Stern is just completely, with no other better way to put it, kissing the guy's you-know-what. Check it out.
The reason I'm so excited to talk to you was because I wanted to understand the tragedy in your life and how you dealt with it. And you're the kind of leader I love, because we're lucky to have you in the Oval Office and serving as the father of the country. Because if you're a good father to your family, which you are, I know you'd be a good father to the country. And I want to thank you for providing a calming influence, an organized administration, getting that vaccine out. I remember what the world was like at that point, getting NATO, getting us to feel comfortable, standing up to Putin, the incredible large growth in the jobs, unemployment rate down. I'll give you your greatest hits. The lowest uninsured rate in history. 4 out of 5 Americans are covered for less than $10 a month. Knocking off a few ISIS leaders, cutting the emissions in half? I mean, you've always been an environmentalist.
I mean, really, Howard Stern? That's what you have to say? By the way, where is Joe Biden's, you want to say, oh, he's like the father to the country right now. Well, he's clearly an absent father because as you have all this chaos across so many American college campuses, again, what is Joe Biden saying? What is he doing? Absolutely nothing. And by the way, on the front of Kamala Harris, on the front of his own vice president, this whole weirdness and cringe you're seeing out of these interviews where they take the softballs from non-political celebrities, it's just not much better, okay? Take a look at her on the Drew Barrymore show.
I've been thinking that we really all need a tremendous hug in the world right now. Yeah. But in our country, we need you to be Mamala of the country.
I don't even really know what to say, okay? Simply put, these people are just strange. They are odd. They are not adjusted. They are not normal. But I guess this is the game plan, which is as the house figuratively being the country, burns all around you, just kind of sit around and get the cult to rally even harder, turn up the propaganda to levels that are totally, just insane. They're just ridiculous. They're just unbelievable. The good news, however, folks, is the American public does not seem to be listening very much, because I hinted earlier in this video that this is starting to show up in the polls, how this past couple of weeks has not been good for Joe Biden. Well, folks, let's take a look here at the RCP average. This is the aggregate of all the major polls in America. And as you see, early on, end of March, early April, you were starting to hear this rumor of a Joe Biden surge. Hey, Trump had his moment in the polls, but Joe Biden is coming back, and they were astroturfing this, and you did see that, right? April 5th, 2024. I mean, Trump and Biden start to get a little bit closer here in these polls, but take a look here, folks. Starting April 23rd, 2024, which, guys, around that time, what was starting to go on? Hey, Columbia University, hey, these protests, started to ramp up. What happened is that Donald Trump once again began to widen his lead in the national polls. And as we talked about, you have to imagine what has gone on over the past couple of weeks on some of America's college campuses, and that general image of instability and unrest around America certainly has something to do with it. Meanwhile, as Joe Biden has gone into hiding because he has somehow united America, including the far left, against him, Donald Trump has been out and about making his rounds in public. And here was the scene Sunday as he showed up to the Miami F1 race. And, well, just take a look for yourself.
Thank you so much. We're voting for you. We're rooting. Oh my God.
Thank you.
Notice the contrast there between Trump and Biden, and I think it's especially funny when you consider what the recent Democrat talking points have been about some of these Trump campaign stops, right? What were they saying about the stuff in New York, about Atlanta, Georgia at the Chick-fil-A? They've been saying, folks, it was staged, okay? He had his supporters purposely show up there to make it look like he was popular because, of course, the supporters of a political candidate showing up to a political candidate's campaign stop, that has never been heard of, never been done, folks, in American history. But still, regardless, okay, so what's the excuse for Miami F1? It did. Was that AstroTurf too? Was that staged? Did Donald Trump just pay thousands of his supporters to show up to the F1 race? Okay, it doesn't actually make any sense. The sheer fact of the matter is Donald Trump is a man who can go around in public and actually strike up a crowd, and all that Joe Biden can get is completely weird and AstroTurfed and cringed interviews from Hollywood celebrities.
Serving as the father of the country, because if you're a good father to your family, which you are, I know you'd be a good father to the country.
As you can see, he also still maintains leads in the swing states of Arizona, Georgia, Michigan, Nevada, North Carolina, Pennsylvania, and Wisconsin. But arguably, one could say these two numbers right here tell the story more than anything. President Biden job approval, according to the RCP average, minus 16.7%. And here's a big one, direction of the country. So this is when they ask Americans, do you believe that America is headed on the right track or the wrong track? Check this out, minus 41% of Americans, in terms of the deficit, say that America is headed in the wrong direction. I will once again reiterate, folks, that is not good news for an incumbent president. And I'm not sure if we've ever seen in history where a wrong track answer that negative has ever translated to the incumbent president winning the election. This is all to say, folks, don't get complacent. Okay, we have a lot of work to do between now and November. We obviously have to win by a big enough margin to make sure they can't pull off another 2020, we will say. But things are looking up. They may not be looking up for the country at the moment, but hey, sometimes you have to lose some to win some. And when you consider how some of this stuff is hurting Biden, the social unrest, leftists protesting against Biden, hey, we may think they're ridiculous. I do think they're ridiculous. I've called them out on a regular basis for that. However, from a pure political chess game, never interrupt your enemy when he is making a mistake. And, that's so true. With that said, folks, let me know your thoughts on all of this in the comment section down below. What do you think of the recent data? What do you think of these protests and what they're doing to Joe Biden? And of course, what do you think about Donald Trump making these public campaign stops, which frankly, I think he needs to integrate more of into his campaign. And I think it's arguably the best part of Trump 2024 so far has not even been the traditional rallies, but these sort of spontaneous campaign stops where he shows up and you find out actually he's very popular. So let me know. That said, be sure to leave a like on this video, subscribe to the channel if you are new, and until next time, Alpha Moves only. God bless. Have a very great rest of your day, and peace.